Parlay Pat hit us up from Highlands Ranch, Colorado, as he often does. And he said, does Florida State ever come back, or are we doomed to mediocrity? I think they got to improve to be mediocre right now, firstly. You know, everyone hates on average. Well, I mean, average is not the worst thing in the world. Bad is the worst thing in the world. This was a depressing mailbag, to be honest, because this was not the only Florida State question we got. Jesse, how many did you count? Like between half a dozen and a dozen questions about Florida State. They were all from Florida State fans, and the tone was terrible. The vibes could not possibly have been lower. This is not a joke. I attended a funeral down on the Gulf Coast earlier today. The preacher who led the service from Tallahassee, never met him before. We chatted for a couple of minutes. He let me know I'm from Tallahassee. I'm a Florida State fan. And you ever talk to someone where you mutually know something's not right, oh no, and then the head just gets hung? It's like this right here. You just look down at the ground. No words need be said. That happened to me earlier today. And then I get to the office and I find out, oh, it's in the mailbag too. So the win total for Florida State at FanDuel, 6.5. Now, you may be driving along the Gulf Coast. Maybe you're down in Biloxi. Maybe you're down in Long Beach. Maybe you're down in Gulfport. I was at all three earlier today at various points. And maybe you're thinking 6.5? That's not that bad. That's bowl eligible. You know, it's not great. It's a far cry from a couple of years ago. But it could be worse. Well, we picked up the phone today. And we hit up FanDuel Mike, FDM. And we said, Mike, because we have the power to do this, we said, Mike, do us a favor. Could you call up the traders? Fancy word for people who make the lines and set the numbers. Could you call up the traders in the other room and ask them, if we gave Florida State Florida's schedule, what would the over-under win total for their season be? Mike hit us up. Took him about 20 minutes, and he gave us the following information. If we change nothing about Florida State's team, but we give them Florida's schedule this year, their over-under win total would be 4.5 instead of 6.5, which would be second lowest in the entire SEC, ahead of only Arkansas. So that's our entry point for the 2026 season. I don't know how to sell this team. By the way, look how weird the graphic looks right now. We've got Florida's schedule up. We got an FSU lower third, and yet it makes total sense. That's what I want on the screen right now. I don't know how to sell this team to you. I really don't. I am a glass half full guy. I don't like being negative in spring. I really don't enjoy being negative at all. Jesse does. I don't. I'm not that kind of guy. However, I don't know how to sell you this team. We've got a quarterback situation down there right now that consists of either Ashton Daniels or Kevin Sperry. Hey guys, do me one favor. Check and see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you are, great. If you're not, it's that easy. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't sign you up for anything. It just helps us do the show this way forever. All right, back to the clip. I'm not knocking either of those guys as guys. I'm just saying there's not a quarterback in that group that's going to contend in the ACC, in all likelihood. In fact, if I were to look at this roster, I'll give you Deuce Robinson. Outside of him, how many top 10 players at their position exist on this roster? I would say not many, and that's even with argument's sake if you can find me a couple. So FSU gets mentioned so many times by personnel people, by coaches. They get mentioned to me as the cautionary tale that circulates the building when it comes to relying too much on the transfer portal. So as you know, a couple of years ago, FSU goes hard in the portal. They end up almost making the playoff. Many think they should have made the playoff. Well, then they doubled down on that strategy and they struck out. That story's been told. So they've become like the poster child. And more often times than not, when I'm talking portal with people in the personnel world and they're talking about opposite ends of the spectrum, it's Florida State on both ends of the spectrum. But the problem is you can have a boom year, but you may pay for it with several bust years, and it all comes back to a lack of recruiting foundation there. And if you cannot recruit at Florida State, if you can't recruit, you're cooked. You're cooked. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. So my guess on 2026, give me their schedule, Bradley, if you please. My guess on 2026 for Florida State if I had to pick these things right now, is out of SMU, at Alabama, Virginia, at Louisville, at Miami. I think there are 3 to 4 losses in that group of games. And I think at Miami is one of those losses, and you'll notice what happens after Miami. No, not Clemson. What happens between Miami and Clemson? A bye week. And if they go into that bye week and they're already a 3-loss or especially a 4-loss team, and that last game is really an ugly loss, I don't think you need to be a genius to understand what could be happening that week. And that would mirror last year, where we had staff moves being made before Halloween. That would be the week before Halloween. And if that's the way the sport's moving now, and a decision has to be made, that wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world to me. Like I said, I've got zero ill will against Mike Norvell. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they win 10 or 11 games. I can't find it. I didn't predict Indiana to win the national title last year either, so there is hope for Florida State. Guys, that prediction may not keep you warm. Stuff over at PateStateMaterial.com could. That's warming up outside, so honestly, the weather will just keep you warm. But that just means you need to go shop the short sleeve collection over there. Get you a Pate State strength and conditioning shirt. Everybody's doing it. There appears to be no downside. Bradley, I don't think you've purchased one. I'll get you one, Bradley. Bradley goes to the gym, allegedly. Yeah, so does Jesse, allegedly. Anyway, whatever you're doing, working out or not, I would just recommend a shirt from the Pate State store. We've got larges, we've got 4Xs, so it doesn't really matter what size. Yeah. The exclusive odds provider of the show is FanDuel. That's not just a right now thing. That's an always thing. However, there's no need to crinkle the paper like that. However, Jesse has informed me that the NBA playoffs have begun. And I do mean Jesse had to inform me that the NBA playoffs have begun. But you can partake in that if you want to. You don't simply have to be wagering on the NBA. You go bet the Las Vegas A's, the Oakland A's, the Philadelphia A's. You can bet any A's you want to over there on the run line. Here's the key takeaway. New signups at FanDuel. You bet $5 and you win, you get $250 in bonus bets. Boom, just like that. Is that free money? Basically, yes. And so go over there and bet $5 on the surest thing that you can find, and then reap the rewards. They'll just land in your account. You won't hear this magical sound. You'll log in and say, I'm $250 richer than I was. And that's a good feeling, especially in this economy.